Hello everyone, I am Sagar Pawar. Me and my friend Tejpalsingh Siledar are going to discuss about DataLake. So let's get started. So what is a data lake? James Dixon wrote, if you think of data mart as a store of bottled water which is cleansed, packaged and structured for easy consumption, then the data lake is large body of water in more natural state. So water is coming from different sources into our lake. Then we can use end user will go over there and examine the water. He can take a deep dive into it or he can take sample out of it. So basically, a data lake is data repository for large quantity and variety of data. The data can be both structured or unstructured data in native format. Architecture of data lake is simple, a Hadoop file system. We call it as HDFS with lots of directories and files on it. So user will see the huge numbers of files and directories coming in HDFS or in clustered system. Next is data discovery and transformations are applied iteratively as data understanding improves. So you have to do multiple iterations of data discovery and transformation for extracting the useful information from various sources. So now we know what is data lakes. So let's see why we need data lakes. Here are some issues given. So let's see one by one. The first is increasing data volume, which provides business user with reliable, highly governed data generated from diverse sources at high volume with least support from IT. So many enterprises facing issues with data. Enterprise data is increasing rapidly, so they are facing problems with huge amounts of data. The next is workload complexity. Due to various types of data sources, the complexity of the data is much high. The data is coming from multiple sources. Sources are like machines, social sites, source sites, and all other sources, and they are facing a problem to join and correlate the data. So this is a complexity issue. Now suppose data analyst want to generate some analytics from new data source. Now your architect has to analyze the data, he has to ingest the data, he has to write some ETL processes, he has to do all quality checks on top of it, he has to apply some security on top of it before giving it to the end user. Now in this process your productivity will suffer, your agile development process will also suffer, also the time to the market will be slow in that case. So here now data lake will support you. So the data lake will give you reliable and highly governed data which is readily available to end user so that they can collaborate very easily. You don't need to think whenever you required a new data set. So data set is easily available over there. It will improve your productivity, it will not suffer your data, it will not suffer your agile development process, it will also give you fast time to market. So now we know what is data lake and why we use data lake. So let's see when to build a data lake. We will see few scenarios here. The traditional and emerging data sources. Analyze the data in real time or batch mode from variety of sources including customer info, traditional data, demographics information, location data, employee information, etc. Next is cross-channel analysis of customer. Analyze the interaction and behavior for a more complete view of customer. So we will use data lake to reduce the time and cost of analyzing the huge amount of data. Next is data exploration, flexible in picking up data sets or attributes at will for analytics. So for exploring the data lakes provides a flexible way for picking up data sets or attributes for the analysis purpose. Next is audit tracking and lineage on usage of data sets. So using data lakes we can do audit tracking and lineage on usage of data sets. The next is for expanded discovery. Centralized metadata discovery and management for published data sets. So for expanding our discovery we use data lakes. So next part of this discussion will be explained by Tejpalsingh Siledar.
So next we will look at the logical view of the data lake. Now this view consists of three layers as we can see on the screen. The data sources layer on the left hand side, the processing and the storage layer in the middle, and the visualization layer to the right hand side. Now in source layer, data ingestion happens in incremental or batch or streaming loads or in bulk load methods. The storage format and the strategies for partitioning and splitting of data is decided at this layer. Next, in the processing and the storage layer, we have multiple modules. The first one is security. Security is very important for many industries such as healthcare and finance. Security must be provided at three stages. First, when data is ingested into the data lake. Next, when data is stored into the data lake. And lastly, when data comes out of data lake. The second is the processing module. Processing is typically ETL and all sorts of processing we do on our data like aggregations, joins, etc. Data masking is also performed at this stage. The third module here is governance and integration. Lineage tracking of data sets is performed here. Now the final layer is the visualization layer. The different uses for the data lake are as shown in the screen. Data scientists, big data architects, app developers, data analysts, business users, IT or admin, these are all the users of the visualization layer. This layer helps the end users explore and visualize data sets easily and quickly. Next, we look at the workflow of a data lake. Now, as shown on the screen, we have 8 steps which describe the workflow of a data lake. The first step is ingesting or archive, batch, incremental, stream, or change data and scheme structure. So basically in this step, what we do is ingest all the data. Next, we do streaming of the data in real time. That's the second step in the workflow for the data lake. In the third step, we mask the sensitive data, or we secure data sets. The fourth step is processing, refining, and curating of data. In this step, the actual processing of the data happens. Processing such as ETL commands and all those processing techniques like joins and aggregations which we saw earlier happens here. Next, the fifth step of the workflow of the data lake is moving the results to the EDW, which is the Enterprise Data Warehouse. This leads us to the sixth step, which is discovering schema, govern, and enrich metadata. Exploration and analyzing of the data happens in the next step, which leads us to the final step of the workflow of the data lake, which is subscribing to the data sets. Now, this workflow, which we see on the screen, aptly describes how data lake workflow works. Next, we will see the different tools available at each level. So the first level that we see is data ingestion. Now for data ingestion, the different tools that are available are Kafka, Informatica, Talent, Web Service. Next, for data processing or analytics, we have the tools such as Spark, Cloudera Impala, Hawk, BigSQL, Hive, Presto. For real-time processing and security, we have again Spark, Kafka, Apache Storm, Apache Knox, Apache Ranger, and Sentry. For the storage of the data, we have different systems such as distributed file systems, which consist of HDFS, NFS, GFS, S3. We have NoSQL databases such as MongoDB, Cassandra, Oracle, HBase. We also have RDBMSs such as Oracle, MySQL, Netezza, Teradata, etc. Lastly, for the insights and the data consumption, we have different tools such as Share Insights, ClickView, Tableau, MicroStrategy, SAP, and Hive. So this brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.